Hi everybody, I'm Asha Oberg, and I am one of the psychology professors here at Mount San Jacinto College. I'm also one of the department chairs at Menifee, and I am kind of leading the work in the mini paper this year. So all 5 of our classes are participating in the mini paper, and what we're doing is we are gathering data. Each class participated in this study as participants. So we're gathering data across 5 classes and we're aggregating that data for the purposes of our study. So I'm here to just kind of give you a refresher as you start to actually write your papers. I want to make sure you fully understand the study. So our study is really investigating 2 research questions. It's asking, is there a difference in hiring recommendations or likability between Asian and Caucasian candidates? And is there a difference in hiring recommendations or likability between cisgender or genderqueer candidates? So in all scenarios, we have individuals who submitted applications for a position open in our department in psychology. All the materials were the same with the exception of the gender and ethnicity of the individual. So race, really. And so we are looking at whether or not people who reviewed the Asian candidate make different recommendations than individuals who reviewed the Caucasian candidate. Individuals who reviewed the cisgender candidate, did they make recommendations, different recommendations than those that reviewed the genderqueer candidate? So every participant, every student in our classes were randomly assigned to one of 4 conditions. They either reviewed a cisgender or genderqueer candidate, and their candidate was either Asian or Caucasian. So that resulted in 4 separate conditions. We have individuals who reviewed cisgender candidates that were Asian, cisgender candidates that were Caucasian. We also had individuals reviewing genderqueer candidates. So genderqueer candidates that were Asian and genderqueer candidates that were Caucasian. And what we want to do is we want to say you're going to choose as a group whether or not you want to study gender identity or race. So you will look at whether or not individuals or recommendations differed between cisgender or genderqueer candidates, or whether or not recommendations differed between Asian and Caucasian candidates. So ultimately, you will each choose 1 independent variable, and there will be 2 conditions. If you chose identity, gender identity, then the 2 conditions, it's 1 IV, type of gender identity, and then the conditions are cisgender or genderqueer. Or if you chose the race IV, then you have 2 conditions, 1 IV, which is race, and 2 conditions or groups, which is Asian and Caucasian. So what we're doing in this study is we're comparing differences in the DV between the 2 groups of the IV. It's really important to note it is only 1 IV with 2 conditions or 2 groups, okay? And then your dependent variable is going to be your hiring recommendations or your likability, or you can look at both if you wish, okay? And so ultimately, participants in this study are going to be research method students enrolled in Psychology 124 at MSJC, which is a community college in the local Riverside County area. And so what you're going to have to do for your introduction is find empirical studies that are looking at how students perceive gender identity, how that affects their perceptions of professors. You can look at hiring practices in higher education and how gender plays a role in that. What kind of gender differences or patterns do we see now? How does that impact the LGBTQ community? So you want to find articles that are centered around gender and professors, hiring of professors or rating of professors. Same thing with race. If you chose race, you want to find empirical studies that were researching differences in likability, differences in hiring practices based on the race of the professors. And that will be your foundational research, and that will serve as your literature review for the purposes of this paper. I'm going to come back, you'll see me again for another video to talk a little bit about building your methods section. So nice to meet everyone if you're not already in my class, and have fun with this study.